It was all a hoax, huh?
News, you probably got the Amber Alert on your phone tonight. Marion County deputies say this 17-year-old boy has been kidnapped.
Investigators say Caden Speight was last seen around 4 o'clock this afternoon along Southwest Highway 484 in Denellen between County Road 200 and the Marion County Airport. That's the same area. Deputies say they were called to a reported shooting. They say the truck Caden was driving was there, but he wasn't. West Shoe's Tony Atkins is there live tonight with what we know so far. Tony.
Yeah, well, deputies say they believe he was last seen with 4 men who they are unknown men, and they believe these men may have been Hispanic. I want to give you a live look at this very active scene as deputies here in Marion County try to piece this all together. Take a look there. You can see investigators combing through the area. Also, the forensics investigators are also on scene. And the vehicle that Caden was last seen, his truck is right there. I did speak with the deputies. They say there is a bullet hole in one side of that vehicle, but I do want to show you an image. This is Caden, just 17 years old. He's 6 foot tall with brown hair and brown eyes. Investigators say he was last seen wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt. Again, deputies, they say he was in the company of 4 unknown men who they believe to be Hispanic. They did confirm to us that this is connected to a shooting investigation. They got a call about around 4 o'clock this afternoon on Southwest Highway 484. Then here, deputies found this vehicle that belonged to Caden. And Caden, again, the victim in this shooting call, was not on scene when deputies arrived. Investigators say Caden and the 4 men may have likely been traveling in a light-colored van. They say if you have any information about where he could be, to give them a call. We also, again, spoke with the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Here's what they had to say about this investigation at this point.
Our Air 1 unit is back out now. Now that it's dark, the ground is cooling down. It's getting a little darker. It's easier to use their capabilities. That FLIR camera that they have to look for heat signatures and things of that nature.
Yeah, and hopefully with things cooling down, they make some progress in this investigation. We're going to be out here live every 30 minutes. We'll bring you updates as they come in. Hopefully we'll get some more information at some point, and we'll have that for you both on air and online. I'm covering Marion County live in Denellen. Tony Atkins, West 2 News.
And from there, MAGA got a hold of the story and spun it into a white kid with a MAGA hat was kidnapped by 4 Hispanic men. This post over on Twitter says 17-year-old Caden Speight was reportedly shot and abducted in Denellen, Marion County. Witnesses say he may have been wearing a MAGA hat at the time of his abduction. This adds a whole new layer of questions and concerns given the already violent political climate we are in. Pray he's found safe. Here's another post over on Twitter. Breaking. 17-year-old Caden Speight was shot and then abducted by 4 Hispanic males in a light-colored van in Marion County, Florida. Why aren't any major news outlets covering this? This is horrific. So, of course, MAGA is going to have to escalate the situation and bring in violence. This person tweeted, "So Civil War it is. Breaking. 17-year-old Caden Speight was reportedly shot and abducted in Florida while wearing a MAGA hat by several Hispanic men." They were calling for civil war over the abduction, this alleged abduction of this young white kid. This is what The Blaze put out. The Blaze is a right-wing organization. The Blaze says 17-year-old Caden Speight was reportedly shot and abducted while wearing a MAGA hat by multiple Hispanic men in Florida. And so as MAGA has got the story trending over on Twitter, calling for civil war, putting a target on Hispanic men's back down in Florida by stating this kid was abducted by 4 Hispanic men over and over and over again, which then alerts ICE to start targeting and harassing innocent Hispanic men. Then this comes out. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement canceled the Amber Alert. And not long after the Amber Alert was canceled, the news started to report this.
Now with that breaking news, in just the last 2 hours, we learned that 17-year-old pictured here, reported to be kidnapped last night, is safe. Good afternoon, I'm Greg Warman.
And I'm Martha Sagowski. Deputies now say the original report of a kidnapping was completely made up, a lie. The initial Amber Alert scene was on Southwest Highway 484 in Denellen, but now investigators tell us they no longer believe he was taken from there. Channel 9's Nick Pampantonis live in Ocala. Nick, he wasn't kidnapped.
Yeah, it came from a text that he sent his mother. There was no van filled with Hispanic men, and investigators are now trying to figure out why he said that to her.
We want to help bring this 17-year-old boy back to his family.
The panicked search for 17-year-old Caden Speight ending around 1 o'clock Friday afternoon when deputies found the boy whose face was plastered on an Amber Alert 30 miles from where he told his mom he was shot and kidnapped.
We are with him right now, and he is in good health.
Deputies say Caden's story fell apart after they could find no evidence of a kidnapping. Instead, they say he visited this Walmart and several other stores. Surveillance photos showing him buying a bike, a tent, a sleeping bag, and other gear. Neighbors also questioning the boy's claims hours before deputies dismissed the kidnapping narrative.
That same boy came by on a bicycle, just driving slow right down the middle of the road. So if he was shot out on 484 and then stopped here and the Hispanics kidnapped him, well, why weren't they here when I passed by?
You know, again, investigators are still working through that why, which is right now that question that everybody wants the answer to. The one part of Caden's story that was true was there was a shooting. He was not shot. We're going to get into that investigation coming up on Eyewitness News at 5. Live in Ocala, Nick Pampantonis, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, and that is another twist to this. Thank you, Nick.
Where was the red MAGA hat? MAGA elevated the story and said this kid was kidnapped. He was wearing a MAGA hat and he was abducted by Hispanic men. In the photographs that they showed in that news report, I didn't even see a MAGA hat. And then we went from Caden wearing a MAGA hat being kidnapped by 4 Hispanic men to Caden being charged with crimes.
But first here at 4, we've got some breaking news in a case that really captivated Central Florida just a little more than 2 weeks ago. The teen that deputies say staged an abduction in Marion County has just been arrested. Good afternoon, I'm Greg Warman.
I'm Darlene Jones. Certainly a wild twist here. In the last 2 hours, 17-year-old Caden Speight was arrested on several charges, including false reporting of a crime. Channel 9's Ashlyn Webb is live with us with the breaking details. Ashlyn.
Yeah, and we are learning now that investigators believe that that Speight actually planned the hoax. Marion County deputies found that he actually made ChatGPT searches on his laptop about Mexican cartels and collecting his blood without causing pain. Now, deputies say September 25th, the suspect falsely reported in a text to his family he had been shot and abducted by 4 armed Hispanic men. Deputies found his truck left behind a bullet hole throughout the windshield of the vehicle with what looked to be blood, and then his damaged phone and drag marks also in the dirt. Now, detectives say he did all of this himself, including shooting himself in his leg and shattering his femur. He was found safe the next day. He now faces charges of presenting false evidence, shooting into a conveyance, making a false report of a crime, and possession of a firearm by a minor. The the sheriff's office, emphasizing that this cost them and other local and state agencies so much in personnel and resources. He's now in Department of Juvenile Justice custody. We are learning more from this arrest affidavit as well about the evidence Marion County found early on in this investigation that tipped them off that this was a hoax, including what he used to make it look like the bloody scene investigators found. Reporting in studio, Ashlyn Webb, Channel 9.
17-year-old Caden Speight walking into jail on crutches, accused of creating an elaborate story which led to an Amber Alert at the end of September. To make the story believable, investigators say he shot himself in the leg with his dad's gun, shattering his femur. But that's not all. I was at this scene on Southwest Highway 484 in Denellen the night the alert was sent out, and investigators spent hours examining a Chevy truck registered to his dad. Speight originally sent a text message to his parents which said, quote, "I need help. Being shot at. 4 Hispanics, armed, white van, 1 driver, I'm hit." Investigators later learned Speight purchased a mountain bike, sleeping bag, tent, backpack, and pillow with cash from a Walmart before sending the text to his parents. The arrest report details how Speight used ChatGPT, an AI program, to learn about collecting blood without pain and Mexican cartels, all to try and make investigators believe his story.
Hello, Marion County citizens. Sheriff Woods here. I know many of you have been deeply invested into this case of Caden Speight. When you heard the initial alarming information that was being given to us, many of you even joined in to help in any way you could. And I want to commend my deputies and detectives that sprang into action and worked through the night and into the next day on this. In addition, we also had help from around the state and federal agencies. Many people reached out. Now, because of their hard work, the initial details that Caden texted to his family were proven to be false, completely made up. We did find evidence of a single gunshot where Caden left his truck. However, his claims that he had been shot and abducted were quickly disproven. We then learned that he had purchased a bicycle, tent, and camping supplies just prior to him reporting this. Now, I want to make something abundantly clear. Probably many of you are asking, well, why do you diverted so many resources? The truth is, in all cases, we cannot take anything that's done or said lightly. We have to take it as though it was the truth in the beginning. Because heaven forbid, if something just made one little turn and it turned out to be the truth. So, because of this alarming amount of red flags that initially kept going up, we had to continue the investigation. But here's the thing. We had witnesses that contradicted the initial information. Caden simply rode away towards Williston, while the rest of us were left to think the worst, and my team was working in overdrive to solve this case. Now, to continue the ruse, Caden, who had a handgun with him since the beginning of all of this, chose to shoot himself in the leg, causing a non-life-threatening injury just prior to walking out to the roadway where he would be located by citizens in Williston. There is zero chance that Caden's gunshot wound came from any type of an assailant. Now, many of you have asked, will Caden be facing any charges? What about the taxpayers' cost of this large-scale investigation and search? Trust me, it is on my mind. I can tell you those items are not off the table at this point. Right now, we are still processing all of the evidence in this case. I don't want to make any statements on that until we have fully examined it all. Naturally, my detectives had a lot of questions for Caden. However, his parents refused to allow my detectives to speak with him so that we could come to a true final conclusion in all this. Again, thank you, citizens, for your tips and information that you sent in. And when we do have any updated information on this case, I promise you, we will provide it to you.
And since all of the news reports coming out stating that Caden created this elaborate kidnapping hoax, since the sheriff coming out and confirming that it was all a hoax, MAGA has gone silent. No calling off the Civil War. No apologizing to Hispanic men. I saw one post where one of the MAGAs out there said, I hope the kid gets some help because clearly he's dealing with some mental health issues. That's it. Yeah. It was all a hoax.